All right. Hey guys, welcome back to another DOY Creations video. I am Jeanette, aka Sarayah. And before I get started, I always like to give glory, honor, and praise to the Most High Yah. All right, you guys. So this is the tutorial that I'm getting ready to share with you today. This is a beautiful granny stitch, kind of slouchy hat or beanie. All right, it's beautiful. So before I share with you guys the items that you will need, I get a lot of questions when I'm doing my tutorials, like sometimes the hat come out too big, or it comes out too small, or it comes out not the way that you would like it to come out. First of all, this hat right here is 24 inches. And what you do is you take your measurement tape, and then you will measure the circumference from your head all the way around and see what size your head is, so you can know what size hat you need to make. Now, if you decide to make this hat and the hat turns out too large, all you would need to do is basically drop down a crochet hook. You can always drop down. I'm going to be using a 5.5, but you could drop down to a 5.0 or even a 4.5. Or if you need the hat to be larger, when I'm doing the granny squares, you can make extra rows to make the hat even larger. So if you need it smaller, make sure you drop down a crochet hook. If you need this hat to be larger, increase the rows. All right, increase the rows. However, if you have any more questions, please make sure you drop them down below. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and make this quick, fun. Well, it's fun, but I don't know how quick it is. Anyway, guys, I'm going step by step, so it could be a little bit more lengthy today, but I want to make sure you guys get it right the first time. All right, on to the next slide. Bye, guys. All right, everyone, so here's the supplies you're going to need. You can grab you 3 colors or even 4. I'm going to use some red, black, and green yarn. This is all acrylic yarn. This is 100% acrylic yarn. You can also make this hat using cotton yarn as well. All right, sorry about that. Grab your grab your crochet hook. I'm using a 5.5, or this is a letter I crochet hook. Grab you a pair of scissors. Also grab you a tapestry needle. That is for us to sew in our loose ends once we are done. And I want you to grab about 4 stitch markers, okay? About 4 should do the job. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and get started with the first square. I'm going to use green as my starting yarn. Grab whatever color that you prefer. So I'm just going to put that out of the way right over there. All right, so now go ahead and make a slip knot. I'll grab my yarn, put it around 2 fingers, pull through, but make your slip knot however you do yours. I do have a slower version of how to make a slip knot. We're going to start by chaining up 6. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So once you have your 6th chain, I want you to go back into the first chain and let's do a slip stitch to join to make our ring like we got here. Chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. Go back into that ring, holding that tail piece over, so we're going to crochet right over that. Let's go ahead and put 2 double crochets directly into that ring. All we're doing is making a granny square. Chain 1, and I want you to put 3 more double crochets into that ring. So that's 1, 2, and 3. And if you have any question about how to make a double crochet or chain, please check out my tutorials. I do have a lot of these stitches for beginners. Go ahead and chain 1, and let's put 3 more double crochets into that ring. And you see how I have that string, I'm crocheting directly over it. This is going to be an easier piece to loose in once we're done with our project, to sew in, chain 1. And let's do that one more time of putting 3 double crochets into that ring. 1, 2, and 3. And each time we did 3 double crochets, we chain 1. Now we should have 4 sets of 3s. That first 3 chain is counted as the first double crochet, so that's 1 set, that's 2 sets of 3 double crochets, that's 3 sets, and 4. So we should have a total of 4 sets of 3 double crochets. Go directly on top of the chain 3, and we're going to do a slip stitch to join, and it should look something like that. Once we do that, we need to be back at this chain space right here. And to get back there, we're going to do a slip stitch in the next 2 double crochets. So I'm going to slip stitch there, and you see how I got my double crochet there. I'm going to insert my hook, and I'm going to do another slip stitch, and then I'm going to go right into that chain 1 space, and then I'm going to do a slip stitch. All right, now let's go ahead and chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. Right back into that space right here where we did the chain 1. We're going to put 2 more double crochets right in there. So that's 1 and 2. So that first chain 3 is counted as our first double crochet. Let's go ahead and chain 1 again. Go right back into that same space, and let's put 3 more double crochets into the same space. That's 2, and that's 3. We are now working on the granny square corners. So that's where you do 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets again, all into the same space. Let's go ahead and chain 1. We're going to go over to our next chain 1 space, and we're going to put 3 double crochets into that space. So that's 1, 2, and 3. We're going to chain 1, go right back into that space, and put 3 more double crochets. That's 1 double crochet, 2, and 3. Let's go ahead and chain 1. Find our next chain 3. See that chain 1 right there? So there's my 3 double crochets. There's the space. I'm going to put 3 double crochets in that space. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1. I'm going to go right back into that same space and put 3 more double crochets in there. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Now on granny squares, there's 4 corners, right? So if you've never done, I'm just going to take off my jewelry, guys. If you have never done a granny square has a total of 4 corners. So let's go ahead and do our last corner. Let's do our last corner. So this was one that we did where we did the 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets. That's 1, 2, 3. So we should have 1 more, and there's that chain 1 space. So let's repeat what we did. We're going to put 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. If you're new to crocheting and you say, I don't know where to exactly those spaces, always put a stitch marker where you started with the chain 1, and that would help you remember what corner you are on, just if you're new to granny squares. So let's go ahead and finish this last one off. We're just repeating what we did previously. All right, now we're going to chain 1, and now we are back at the 3 chain right here. So we're going to go on top of the chain 3 space, just like we did before. And we're going to slip stitch to join. So now our work is looking like this. Looks more like a square. This strand right here, we can just tie it, pull it, and it'll make the square look even more squarish. So what we're going to do next is we're just going to do what we did before. We're going to slip stitch to join. We're going to slip stitch in the next 2 spaces or on top of the double crochet. So let's do a slip stitch. Sometimes you can get a little stuck, but don't worry. And then we're going to do another slip stitch. And we slip and stitch until we get back to that chain 1 space. But instead of doing this one all the way, I want you to stop right here. And now we're going to add the next color. The next color I'm going to add will be black. You can do this in solid color or you can do it in multiple colors. All right, so I'm getting ready to add the black yarn. So instead of completing that stitch, I'm going to grab my new color and pull it through. And then I'm just going to tie my black to the green so it doesn't come loose. Let's just bring that a little bit closer. I'm just tying my black into a knot. My green and my black together. Just like that. And now let's continue on. I can cut the green because I'm done with the green. So we're just going to take a long strand. And so the green can get out of our way. We're going to cut that so the green can be out of our way. And we're going to proceed on. We're going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. Go back into that same space and put 2 more double crochets. That's 1 double crochet. Go right back into that same space and do another double crochet, chain 1, and let's do 3 more double crochets into that same space. All right, and okay. So now I have 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets. I'm gonna chain 1. Into this space right here, I'm going to put 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Now I am back at the corner. Let me just pull this yarn out. I am back at this corner right here. I'm going to go right here where my chain 1 space is at, and I'm going to do 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, go right back in there and do 3 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to repeat this all the way around. So in this space, I'm going to do 3 double crochets. When I get to my corner, it's going to be 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets back in there. So repeat that all the way around, and I'll see you back at the beginning. Okay, so I'm making my way back around. So I did my 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochet in this space. We do our 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, and let's go ahead and go and slip stitch on top of our chain 3 space into the next 2 double crochets. We're just going to do a slip stitch. This is in black, so I know you're not going to see this too well, but the next 2 double crochets, we're doing our slip stitch till we get to the chain 1 space, slip stitch, and now we're just going to repeat again. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, chain 3, and we're just going to go around here one more time. We're going to do 3 double crochets into this corner, chain 1, 3 double crochets right back into there. and then we're going to chain 1. So there's my corner. I'm going to chain 1, and now I'm going to put 3 double crochets here, 3 double crochets here, and every time I go to my corner, I put 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochet. So the next 2 spaces, I'm just going to put 3 double crochets like here, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1. I'm going to go to this next space right here and put 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, and now I'm back at my corner. I go into this space here where I do 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, go right back into the same space and put 3 more double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, chain 1, and repeat all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the beginning. Okay, so I made it back around. So I'm going to chain 1 and then go on top of the chain 3 space. And I'm going to do a slip stitch to join as we did on the previous row, and then go to your next couple of double crochets and do a slip stitch until you get back into the center of the corner, just like you see me doing here. Now we're getting ready to change colors again, so I'm going to start the slip stitch, but I'm not going to complete it. I'm going to pick up my red color and I'm going to finish this slip stitch in red. So I just grab my yarn and then I just pull through, and that completes the slip stitch. And now I have my new color. So, but I want to tie it off to make sure that nothing comes apart. So I just take the strand of my red with the black that I was working on, and I just make a knot. And let's just make a knot here. And this just give it a little extra security that this would not come apart. So I made a knot. Now I'm finished with my black. I'm just going to cut a nice amount of thread on there. So when we get ready to sew in, we can sew in our work really nicely. So now we are on red. Oh, I am on red. So I'm going to chain up 3. This is going to be our last row of the square. So this is how our green look. I went 2 rows of green. I went 2 rows of black. And I'm only going to go 1 row of red, because I'm only doing 5 rounds. Now, if you need your hat, once you do this and you realize your hat needs to be larger, go more rounds, okay? You can continue on with the square. So I chain up 3, and let's go ahead and put 2 more double crochets right in there, just like we see here. Chain 1, go right back into that center and put 3 more double crochets, 1, 2, and 3. I think by now you got the hang of it. So there's our corner right there. Chain 1 and repeat the process as we did with the previous row, chaining up 3 double crochets in here, chain 1, 3 double crochets here, chain 1, 3 double crochets here, chain 1, and when we get to our corner, we do 3 double crochets, chain 1, 3 double crochets. So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back at the beginning. All right, you guys, so I'm coming back to the beginning. Let's go ahead and finish with our 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1, go directly on top of that chain 3 space, just like we did previously. And the next 2 double crochets, we're just going to do our slip stitch, and then when we get to the center, we do our slip stitch, and we stop there. So this is as big as our square is going to be. So I went 2 rows of green, 2 rows of black, 1 row of red, okay? And you could do the measurements and see if this would fit the circumference of your head. You can add or take away. It all depends. So you need to make a total of 5 of these squares. We can go ahead and cut off right here because that's the end of this here. I'm going to cut my yarn. So go ahead and make 5 of these right here, and I'll be back once I have my 5. All right, guys, so I am back. So here are my 5 granny squares. I did alternate the color with the green and the black. I want the red to be my outside color or dominant color. So I did switch it up just like that. So anyway, I have all 5 of my granny squares. So this is how we're going to put it together. Each one of your squares, you can tell this is the front side and which is the back side. The back side is the one that has the strand. You can pull your strand to close up that hole there. Just pull it tightly, and you can go ahead and sew in that loose strand if you choose. I'll do it once my project is done, but I do want to pull this tightly just for right now. And it's just closing up the hole here, the beginning circle. Just give it a little pull. You can go ahead and sew in your loose strands before we start the next part. Totally up to you. I'll do all that once I'm done. So all I did was that hole right here, I just tighten it up so it doesn't be as wide. So this is the wrong side right here. All 5 of these are my wrong sides. So what I'm going to do, guys, is the stitch markers is going to connect these pieces. I think what I'm gonna do, guys, just so I don't have you guys confused, let's go ahead and sew in all the loose strands, all the little pieces you right here, so we can have 5 clean squares. I'll be right back. All right, guys, so I went in and clamped up these squares. Okay, so let's get our 4 stitch markers. The reason why I didn't cut this off yet or sew this in, I need to know that this is the wrong side and this is the right side. So I left this strand on, but if you already know that, that's fine. So this is how we're going to put the squares together. Basically, the squares go, that's 1, 2. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our stitch marker. We're going to take our stitch marker, okay? And make sure your work is, you got the wrong side out, laying flat like you see it here. My first stitch marker directly where we have our corner, that chain 1 space. Remember, we double crochet 3 times, and then we did a chain 1. I want you to put the stitch marker inside of that chain 1 space. Then I want you to grab another one of your squares, and I want you to do the same thing. Right where you have that chain 1 space, I want you to connect them and join it just like this. All right, so we want this to be as even as possible. So that's one side. Now we're going to go to pick up another square because that's green and I'm alternating colors. I'm going to grab the one that has the black beginning, and I'm going to take one of my stitch markers again, and I'm going to go right on top of that chain 1 space, and I'm going to insert my stitch marker, grab another one of the squares. Let's grab another square, and I'm going to do the same thing, go on top of that chain 1 space, and I'm going to put my pin there. So I got a pin there, I got a pin there. Let's grab another one and grab another square, and let's connect that one the same as we've been doing. We're just going to go right on top of that. Let me see. Okay, so there's that. Top of that chain 1. Grab my next square. Make sure this is the outside. Yes, it is. And go on top of that chain 1 and connect it. And let's do it one more. Let me see. That's okay. So that's 1, 2, 3. Let's make sure we're doing that right because the hat needs to look like 1, 2, 3, and 4. It needs to look like a box. Okay. Let's add the last stitch marker. And we're going to do the same thing. So it's going to be just like it's going to sit up just like this, guys, like a box. All right. That's how we want it. So put that last stitch marker in and we should have 1 square left. All right, guys. So this is how it should look. You see all our stitch markers is at the top and the head is just going around like a box. Now we're going to take our last one, and which is going to be on the crown of our head, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to grab the one that we got connected, don't unconnect it. We're just going to go right on top, all 4 corners, adding our stitch markers onto the chain 1 space, just like you see I'm doing here. So that'll connect our top. So now that's connected. Go to your next one. Don't unconnect anything. Go on top of your chain 1 space and go ahead and connect the yarn. Connect the stitch marker, just like you see I'm doing here. All right. So that's now connected. And let's go to the next one. Find my chain 1 space, which is right here, and connect it. And don't worry about these loose strands. We're gonna sew all that up at the end, or if you already did yours, you're 1 step ahead of me. And this should be the last one because it's only 4 corners. And so I go on top of my chain 1 when you do chain 1 and connect it there. So this is how our hat should be connected, just like this. It should be laying, there's our crown right here, and then this is our 4 sides. So whatever color that is your main color, so my main color is red, that is what I'm gonna get started with. So I can grab my yarn and we're just going to do a single crochet. You could do a slip stitch or a single crochet. I am going to do a single crochet. We're going to do a single crochet along this line here. We're going to do a single crochet along here. All 4 corners, we're going to do a single crochet. So I'm going to grab my yarn. I'm going to make a slip knot just like this. And right where my stitch markers and these are connected, that is where I'm going to connect my crochet hook. So this is going to be a little tricky, but go right, because you're just doing the square. So I'm going to go right inside my space here. I'm going to go right inside. So this is my chain 1 space there. This is my chain 1 space here. There it is. And I'm just going to grab my yarn and pull it through both of those. And let's go ahead and do a slip stitch to join the yarn. Let's pull that down. And now I'm just going to do a single crochet all the way around. I can crochet over that or I can sew it in. So go to your next stitch, which is right here, and making sure that you're lining up stitch with stitch, and you're going to do a single crochet all the way around. There, line it up perfectly. And it will line up because we all got the same size square. So it will line up perfectly. You don't have to worry about that. Now, that was the 3 double crochets. Where we did that chain 1, we're just going to do 1 double crochet, 1 single crochet. Now I'm back to my 3 double crochets. There's on that side. Here it is on this side. Let's go ahead and do our single crochet. And we're just going to repeat this all the way around just the crown part of it, making sure we match it up perfectly. I'm going here, go on this side, do my single crochet. At the chain 1 space, go inside, and then just do that. Okay, so that's how we're going to do it. Go all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the beginning where we got started. All right, guys, so I'm back. So all I did was did a single crochet all the way around, just like we spoke about, all the way around, all the way till I got back to my stitch marker. And so now that I've done that, the crown part of my hat is now attached. So if I flip it the other right side up, you can see the crown part is ready. So I'm just going to turn it back. And now what we're going to do is, let's see where I'm at. Here's my, we're just going to go down each one of these sides, the 4 sides, and we're going to do a single crochet connecting these sides right here, right where our stitch markers are. We're just going to single crochet all the way down here, and then we're going to fold it over here, and we're going to do a single crochet, and we're just attaching these 4 squares together with a stitch marker. So now I can remove this stitch marker, the first one. Let's get this one out of the way. And while my yarn is still hooked up to my project, I'm just going to fold my work just like this. This is how it was. I'm just going to fold it and do a single crochet all the way down here, making sure that I'm starting in the middle or the chain 1 space. Let's say the chain 1 space so it doesn't be confusing. Make sure I'm at the right place. Chain 1 space, and I'm just going to do a single crochet. And now that I started that one, just fold your work to the side if you need to do. And now we're just going to put a single crochet, making sure we align everything perfectly as possible. And we're just going to single crochet along this side. I'm going to go with you all the way on this one, and then the rest of it, I think you'll be good. So making sure. When I get to the chain 1 space, see that big gap? I'm just going directly into both of them and do a single crochet. Instead of trying to find that chain 1, I just go through the whole thing. And now I go on top of the double crochets and do our single crochets down. The connecting part is I think the longest part. I think the squares goes pretty fast. So I'm just going to go right, I'm just going to put my hook right in that space and do my single crochets, but I'm going on top of my double crochets after that to do my single crochets. And your single crochets doesn't have to be extremely tight. The tighter you do it, the more your project is going to look a little bit more stiffer. So when you're doing your single crochets, kind of relax your hand if you can. If not, it just gives it a little tighter stitch. But kind of do it as you are comfortable with doing it. But if you're a little bit more intermediate, you'll understand what I mean by relaxing your hand when you're doing this. All right. I'm going to go in here. I'm just going to go all the way down to the bottom. And when you get down to these last 3, sometimes they can get, because we do that chain 1, we slip stitch all the way. I'm just going to go inside the double crochets if I can't find the stitch to do my single crochets. All right. Just in case it gets a little tight down here, I'm going to go inside it inside the other side to do my single crochet. And I should have one more right there, one more right here. All right, so now I have went all the way down to the bottom, and that's how we should be looking. I can cut that off, and then, okay, let me cut this off, fasten off. All right, so that one is now attached as the top part is attached. Now I'm just going to fold this side, start at my stitch marker, single crochet down, and do the same things for the next 3 sides. I'll meet you back at the beginning. All right, guys, so when you get to the next stitch marker, the previous one was already connected. So go ahead and take your stitch marker off because it's already attached to the top part of your square. Then we're going to take our color. We're going to do a little slip knot. I'm going to do it with one finger because I don't need my hole to be too big. Insert my hook. And now I'm going to go right, okay, still there, where we have the chain 1 space on both sides, this side here, and the chain 1 space over here. So I got my, let's do that again. All right, and then I'm just going to have that on my hook, just like here. And then I'm going to insert my hook in that chain 1 space on this side, the chain 1 space on this side, grab my yarn and do a slip stitch to join, just like this. I'm just going to pull this yarn so it could be a little tighter on my hook. And then I'm going to chain 1. So now I have both of these sides. I'm sorry, I'm rubbing against scissors over here. I have both of these sides connected, and so now I can go ahead and go down my side. I'm at the chain, I'm at the double crochet one side, double crochet on the other side, and now let's go ahead and do our single crochet. And let's repeat that all the way down. I just want to show you how to connect it from side to side. So there's my single crochet. So repeat that all the way down, and I'll meet you back once we get to the bottom. Okay? All right, guys, so I have connected all 4 sides of my hat. Okay, if you have connected all 4 sides, go ahead and any loose strands that you got out, go ahead and sew them up, and let's go ahead and get started with the next step, which is going to be the more easier step to do because the joining is the only longest part. So I'm just going to sew in all my loose strands, and then I'm going to turn my hat inside out on the right side and let you see what we need to do next. So if you got any strands loose like I do, go ahead and sew them in. All right, guys, so I sewed in all my loose strands, and this is the wrong side where you can see where we did the single crochets. Now we're just going to turn it inside out so we can get it to the right side. And this is how our hat is looking so far, which is absolutely beautiful. So this is how it's looking so far, but as you can see, our bottom part is it doesn't look uniform. So what we're going to do is we're going to fix that, right? I'm going to use, they're going to go ahead and finish it in red. I'm just going to let red continue to do its thing. And you can insert your hook. We're going to do a slip stitch like we always do. And you can hook your, join this yarn wherever, it doesn't matter. Let's just join it whatever on the hat, just like I just did right here. And once you have your yarn joined, all right, now chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3. So once you have your 3 chain, what we're going to do is we're going to do 1 double crochet, into every stitch around the hat. Once you get to the space areas where you see here, just put 1 double crochet there. All right, so we're just going to put 1 double crochet into that chain 1 space, and then the 3 double crochets, let's put a 1 double crochet on top of those double crochets. So go all the way around the hat, putting 1 double crochet, and I'll meet you back at the beginning. All right, guys, so I made it all the way back to the beginning, and I hope I said chain of 3. I know initially I said 2, but chaining up 3 is going to make this even better. So go ahead and chain up 3, and now we're going to do front post and back post. Front post is where we're going to pull the yarn, the next double crochet to us, just like this. And if you need a slower version, I do have it. Wrap your yarn around, and then we're going to do a back post. So we're going to do front post, back post all the way around this row. There's the front. It goes like this. And then if you do the back double crochet, you go backwards just like this. Please see the link if you need a slower version. So go ahead and do a front post, back post all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the beginning. All right, guys, so I made it all the way back around with the front post, back post. I'm just going to do a slip stitch to join, but I'm not going to complete the join. I'm going to stop right here because the last and final row is I'm going to do a single crochet just to tighten up the hat. You can continue on with the color that you was working on, or you can switch colors like I am. And that's that. And let's go ahead and do what we've been doing the previous rows, just tying this in a knot. I'm going to tie that a little tightly. And I'm just going to complete this last final row with a single crochet, and we'll be done. So let's cut the red off because the red has done its job. All right, so now I got my green that is attached. Let's go ahead and chain 1. And after you chain 1, you can carry both of those yarn. And let's just do a single crochet into every stitch around. And that will be our final row. All right, so go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back at the beginning. All right, you guys, so I made it back to the beginning. So that will conclude that row there. Let me just cut my yarn, and I can just fasten off. And I'll sew that in a second, but that is the video for this beautiful hat here. Let's make it. And you can put it on whatever side if you want the black and green or whatever your main color is. If you want it to be the green and black, whatever colors that you chose. Anyway, guys, I'll sew this in. Let's just hide this a little bit and make it look a little bit more presentable. But that is the conclusion of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If so, make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Please don't forget to drop me a comment down below. Let me know what colors you would like to make this hat in. Also, in the beginning of this video, I go into details about the sizing of this hat here. This size right here is more of a medium large, but I give you some tips of what you need to do if you need to have this to go bigger or even smaller. All right, you guys, again, thank you so much for tuning in to another video. I appreciate it so much. Until next video, read your Bibles. Let's get a relationship with our Heavenly Father. Love you guys. I'll see you in our next video. Let me know what you think down below. Bye, guys.